Hi, sorry for the interruption, but this could be something you need to hear. A lot of parents assume that to guide their kids through the AI era, they need to become some kind of tech expert overnight. I want to gently put that to bed. You really don't. What your kids need isn't a parent who can code, it's a parent who's curious, present, and willing to learn alongside them. That's it. That's the whole job. And I've built a series, it's coming here soon, that shows you exactly how to do that, starting from wherever you are right now with whatever you already know. Now, back to the video. For today's video, the story, the parable of the talents. It's roughly 2,000 years old, and it's been quoted in sermons and business books and self-help seminars. It's been used to justify everything from investment banking to missionary work. And almost no one has noticed that it is, at its core, one of the most precise financial literacy lessons ever written. Ever written. Today, I want to read it with you, slowly, carefully, and show you exactly what it teaches about money, about risk, about growth, and about the one financial sin that costs people everything. One of the most precise financial literacy lessons ever written. So let's set the story. A man going on a long journey called his servants and entrusted to each of them a portion of his wealth. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1. A talent was a quantity of gold. Then he went away. The servant who had received 5 talents went and traded with them, and gained 5 more. The servant who had received 2 gained 2 more. But the servant who had received 1 went and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Asked why later, he said he was afraid to lose it, so he protected it. When the master returned, he settled accounts. To the servants who had doubled their portions, he said, "Well done. You've been faithful with a small amount. I'll put you in charge of much more." And to the servant who had buried his talent, he took it away and gave it to the one who had the most. I've shortened it a bit, but those are the main events. What does it teach? There's several lessons in this story. First, resources that sit still shrink. In the parable, the buried talent does not break even. You might think that digging it up, it's the same. It is not, and in the story, it is taken away. In the real world, money that sits without working, under the mattress, in an account that earns nothing, or held as cash while inflation moves, loses value. The first lesson is that doing nothing with money, it's not neutral. It's a choice, and it has a cost. Secondly, growth is proportional to courage. The servants who doubled their portions traded. They put the money into action. They accepted the possibility of loss in exchange for the possibility of gain. This is the core mechanism of investing. It's not complicated and not secret, but it requires something that cannot be taught in a lecture. It's the willingness to act in uncertainty. Third lesson, the starting amount matters less than starting. The servant with 5 talents gained 5. The servant with 2 gained 2. Neither outperformed the other, both doubled. The parable's not about the unfairness of starting with more. It's about what you do with what you have. A child who starts with $5 and learns to grow it has learned the same principle as an adult managing 50,000. The fourth lesson, the fear argument. The servant who buried gave his reason, "I was afraid." Fear was his only financial argument. Not a bad market, not bad advice, but fear. The servant chose the certainty of smallness over the uncertainty of growth. When it comes to money, this battle with fear is the most important financial mistake there is, and it starts in childhood. Emotions connected with money often result in poor decisions. Certainty of smallness over uncertainty of growth. In 8 years of running a classroom economy, 104 student businesses, more than 500 students, the buried talent pattern was the most consistent failure mode that I've observed. Half of the class, every year, hoards. Fear. The students who underperformed were almost always the ones who were most afraid of getting it wrong. They held back. They waited for certainty that never comes. They buried what they had in the safest possible place and then hoped it would be enough. The students who thrived made mistakes, sometimes significant ones, and treated those mistakes as the cost of learning, not as evidence that they were failures. They traded shares amongst each other. They tried, they doubled, they halved, but they had a go. In a safe environment, these kids learned, while the others watched. Sound familiar? So, what does the modern parent, you, do with this? A few specific things. First, introduce the concept of money working before age 10. Not a formal lesson, a physical demonstration. Plant seeds together in a pot and watch them grow. Show a compound interest calculator and let your child see what $20 becomes over 30 years with 7% growth. Use the farming game on the Financial Adventure Club to show the concept of growth. Make it visible. Second, normalize small risk. Give your child a small amount to invest in something, even something symbolic. A market index fund with $20. Set up a small business selling something at school. The emotional experience of putting money into action and watching what happens is permanent. Experience outweighs knowledge. Third, talk about the servant who buried. Ask your child, why do you think he buried it? And let them sit with the question. Children often have more insight into fear-based thinking than adults. The parable of the talents is old enough that the cultural context is invisible to most modern readers. But the financial principle is as precise as anything written in the last 10 years. Resources shrink when they sit still. Growth requires risk. The starting amount matters less than the decision to start. And fear is the one thing that truly costs everything. On Tuesday, I told you about the 7 businesses that led to my real purpose and what teaches children about money and freedom. The link is below this video. Did you know the parable of the talents as a financial story or as a spiritual one? I'm curious how many people in this community have made that connection. Until next time, see you.